Okay, so we've now got the back sprayed up, ready to go, and I'll move in a little closer just to show you. Not sure if you can see the detail on here. We've put the back piece in and also the bottom bit, as well as distressed the areas with the spray. I've put the grill in, which is the back of it, which I'll show you in a second as well, and also highlight here, if you just turn it around onto the front, some of the detail onto there. I'll fix the bottom pieces in, ready to go and to slot in, and just to show some of the detail. So you can see we've put some glaze stuff on, and aged it slightly, and back to the front. Okay, so what's the next stage? Well, you can see I've put the grill in. Now the grills I'll show you in a second from there. So what we've got there is the grill, which I've glued in initially, and then what I've done is I've covered it with some aluminium mesh, just because it's easy and very neat to place in there. The next stage will be obviously to fiberglass resin over top of these, and I'm going to do this hanging up as I did when I sprayed it, just so the resin don't run through the gaps and spoil the back. So I'm going to use a bit of gravity hopefully, and that way if any resin does run, it's going to run down the back of it, and that's pretty much that done. You can see all the bits that actually fold in, and that's pretty much the back done until I get to do the airbrushing. And that's just hung up just over top of my dust extraction pipe. Just make sure if you are hanging it up, the wire that you use, I've put 2 strands on here because the tensile strength of the wire needs to be quite strong, because although this isn't, it'll hold for a second because it's a static load, it can and it may break during the night, and that's why I've hung it up by 2 wires. So just make sure that it's secure, basically, is what I'm saying with that. So I'll just turn around slightly. There we go, so you can perhaps see some of the image now a little bit better. And that leads us nicely on to what we're going to do with the front. Now I've only done the back, to be honest. It took quite a bit of time with the rubbing down, but I can show you the front part of the chest armour now. Well, the first thing is I am going to re-strengthen where the hinges are going to go on here, and as always recommended, I'm going to fiberglass resin some of these on, and these are pre-cut, ready to shape. Okay, and it's worthwhile always having this stuff done rather than try to do it as you're actually resining. Okay, I've strengthened up the tabs from there. So the tabs I've strengthened up just using some isopan. I've finished this bit off down here. I haven't filed it or sanded it yet. Built it up at the back here. It's quite a bit rough. And down there, that's just made it a bit more rigid and reinforced it. From there. Also on the front, I've just lightly skimmed the edges of here, and it's quite hard stuff, this. I think in America they call it Bondo. Obviously it's just the isopan stuff here, or car body for that part, and I'm trying to reinforce all the bits that I need to reinforce prior to rubbing down. So the next stage to this now is, you can see I've already started to scrape out the recess of the hinge, which is what I was on about last week. Still got it up on the board. So you can see I've cut the hinges out. I'll just drill 2 4mm holes through there once it's been fiberglassed at the back, and that should be fine. And this I haven't started cutting out yet, but it's just a case of just scraping through it with a chisel. And then once that's done, same process really, I'll spray it with some spray filler and then rub it down with some wet and dry, probably with some P240, because that's quite aggressive, and then finish off with a 400 prior to actually spraying that up. There will be a few more marks on this one, and I was just contemplating whether to actually put the dagger onto this side or not yet. So that's the sort of stage we're at the moment. And with that, so that's probably going to take about another 3 to 4 hours of work, to be honest. And I might even put some LEDs in the front of this. Still haven't decided yet. That's pretty much it really. I have tried a few materials. Obviously I've used acrylic, 3mm acrylic, which should have been for the back piece. So if I quickly just spin this one around so you can see. So there's some acrylic goes in there, but in the end I decided to go and buy a sheet of MDF, 3mm MDF, simply because the acrylic, it's not very forgiving when it bends. I could use heat, but you can see it just snaps. With this stuff, with any sort of wood really, you can laminate it or steam bend it. So by soaking it in water, I actually did get this to bend just a little bit better to fit inside the other pieces, and then just spray that black. And that's pretty much the idea there, to be honest. Just cut down the bandsaw to fit that in. And also, there's not much weight difference between the acrylic and the MDF, to be honest. But I think the MDF is less brittle and less likely to break. After all, it is glued in by resin. So that's pretty much where we're at this time. The next stage we'll hopefully see this fiberglass into these parts here, and then once that's fiberglass, that's really much the back done and ready to go. And that will soon be the chest armour. And I've just got to spray a logo on the back, which is going to be the Field Marshal sign, and I'll make the template for that over the next few days. Right, that's where we are then with that. And the next stage we'll hopefully see it all together, assembled and fully sprayed up.